Love, says this remarkable period piece from writer and director Paul Thomas Anderson, is a dialectic of needs. Each party has something that promises to complete the other, only sometimes this can't be exchanged without friction or with equal urgency. What one person needs from the other might undercut what they're offering themselves. Meanwhile, demands from their outside, such as professional obligations or societal expectations, can alienate both from a bond that they might like to think should transcend those demands and, pretty much, everything else. Phantom Thread, released in 2017, is the story of Reynolds Woodcock, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and Alma Elson, played by Vicky Creeps, an unlikely couple who come together in England in the early 1950s. Reynolds is a renowned, eccentric dressmaker, absorbed in his craft and the routines that surround it. Alma, meanwhile, is a charismatic and strong-willed kind of nobody with a non-specific history who gets plucked by Reynolds from a seaside hotel where she serves him one of the most prodigious breakfasts ever to grace the silver screen. Having seen this film when it came out and not really known much what to do with it other than admire, I recently rewatched it and found it, frankly, delicious. I've actually been tailoring as a hobby for a couple of years now, and if that piques your interest, then boy do I have a channel for you, and that certainly helped heighten my appreciation for what I think is this film's most obvious merit, namely the textured elegance of its world. Given Reynolds' line of work, this is a world defined above all by the wonderful clothes its people wear. Johnny Greenwood's score, sentimental here, ominous there, comes in a not too distant second. Truly, this is a piece of cinema replete with tweeds so divine you could almost imagine the 1950s did nothing wrong. But aside from the clothes that it'll be my life's mission to replicate, or the passionate kiss between our two lovers in front of the words ales and stouts, I love this film most for its depiction of what I mentioned at the top, namely love's dialectic of needs. Or do I mean marriages? Certainly that's what the 1950s meant, and the film's setting in the England of then allows for all the patriarchal pressure you could narratively hope for. This dialectic of love, or indeed marriage, involves the constant rebalancing of your needs with those of your partner. But of course, what got held as a fair balance in the 1950s, and really only a little less so today unfortunately, greatly skewed in the favour of someone like Reynolds. Throughout the film, Alma isn't at Reynolds' mercy just because she loves him more intuitively than he does her, but also because that is the sum of what is expected of her. Meanwhile, the values of the age put no demands at all on Reynolds to ever consider Alma's needs before his own, he being not just a man, not just an older man, but an older man of genius. And wonderful though his craft may be, the story of how Alma overcomes all this is more interesting, I think, than any to be told about Reynolds alone. And it's Creeps' and then PTA's great success that Alma's vibrancy comes through always. Yes, when she's making her own decisive play for dominance in the relationship, but also still when she's being patronised, disenfranchised, and generally treated like garbage. And when she and Reynolds do make clear to each other just how far they will go for each other, there's little left for us to do, dirty little freaks as we are, but grin along with them. By focusing on a very intense and dramatic instance of that dialectic at work, Phantom Thread, despite being only 2 hours long, is able to speculate on the long view of a love like that of Alma and Reynolds, and by their example, on the very ideas of lifelong love and companionship themselves. It shows us the ineluctability of the phases of love that emerge from the imbalance between needs. There are times when each character can't imagine wanting anything else than what they're experiencing right then with the other person. Only then time passes, circumstances change, and suddenly that same experience is either inaccessible or unpalatable. It shows us the characters becoming tiresome to each other or worse, and yet still persisting in their union. Partly out of sheer inertia, sure, but above all, out of that same original, unintelligible, and ultimately perhaps somewhat perverse desire. But, mild spoiler alert, you have 5 seconds. For those partnerships that can stay the course, whatever those phases have involved, there emerges a new perspective on the phasic rhythm itself. A perspective from which the good sense of a whole life spent together can be glimpsed. This is exactly what Alma so beautifully articulates in the last scene of the film. Reynolds, true to the dialectic, responds with a less eloquent but equally romantic sentiment, I think, that contrasts with Alma's while honouring the truth in it. If that ain't love. So, have you watched this film? And, more importantly, have you watched this?